in the empty room. With decades of experience in the royal family, Anne understood that real power lay not in titles, but in networks of relationships and key positions. She spent hours expanding quietly but systematically. Anne felt a deep disappointment welling up. She had always valued transparency and tradition. How can we allow these undercurrents to erode the foundation that my parents worked so hard to build? She whispered to herself, increasing efficiency, rejuvenating the team, expanding public influence. No one could object because they seemed to serve the common good. But when Anne pieced them all together, the bigger picture emerged. Almost all these changes pointed toward the same group individuals close to Queen Camilla. Their influence details. Proposals to change patronage for numerous charitable organizations, along with adjustments to senior personnel in the royal household, were being put forward systematically. Each proposal out of personal hatred, but out of deep concern for the long-term stability of the royal family. Anne had witnessed too many upheavals over the decades. She knew that any imbalance could lead to irreparable rifts. We cannot let these small proposals sounded perfectly reasonable, appointing experienced individuals, optimizing resources, and preparing for upcoming major events. But when viewed as a whole, Anne realized that almost all of these changes tilted toward benefiting those close to Queen Camilla. She felt a surge of anger rising in her chest. Anne's investigation was not just dry paperwork. It was a silent war between responsibility to the royal heritage and personal ambitions. With her steadfast nature, Anne had chosen the difficult but most upright path. She was ready to face any consequences as long as she protected the core values she believed in. Made up later to compile information. Concern for the royal family's future kept her awake, but also gave her extraordinary strength. Anne understood clearly that Camilla was an intelligent opponent who had survived countless storms. Therefore, she had to be even more cautious. Not yet having conclusive evidence for the council, Anne patiently waited. She compared with past events, seeking similar patterns to strengthen her arguments. Of documents. Although she did not yet have irrefutable absolute proof, she decided to use the sharpest psychological tactic. When the meeting began, Anne stood up her voice. The Royal Council meeting took place in a heavy atmosphere. The meeting room at Windsor Castle was now packed with serious faces. Princess Anne entered with a steady posture, holding a carefully prepared folder that provided additional motivation to intensify the investigation. She was ready for the next confrontation. The royal family could not allow such covert games to continue, and Anne would be the one to end them. The next represented hardline tradition, with little tolerance for hidden changes. Therefore, Camilla was even more cautious, ordering the removal of some sensitive notes and keeping only the most official documents. This is not a consent, became her blind spot. When Anne began asking questions, Camilla realized that her small steps had formed a chain now at risk of breaking. She maintained her calm exterior, but anxiety began to appear in her heart. Conspiracy, Camilla once said to a trusted aide during a late-night exchange. This is necessary preparation. The royal family needs stability, and I am ensuring that. Camilla's plan progressed smoothly until the Windsor meeting. She believed everything was under control. But that very confidence began. Is someone trying to cover something up? Camilla could not withstand the pressure. Her face briefly turned pale. She stood up, her voice slightly higher than usual. Her voice clearly revealed panic and defensiveness. Her reaction was living proof of what Anne suspected. The meeting room erupted. William immediately spoke in support, his voice firm and powerful. I fully support Aunt Anne. We must immediately suspend all decisions that have not. Anne, I will not accept these insinuations. It's all a misunderstanding. I only want the royal family to be stronger. There is no conspiracy. Camilla's forms for a modern royal family. Camilla often spent evenings reflecting alone. She recalled her difficult journey from a woman despised by the public to queen. "I have lost too much to sit in this position," she told her, replaced by loyal faces. Patronage for major funds was redirected, allowing Camilla's network deeper access to media and aristocracy. All happened in silence. No public disputes, no clear signs of ambition. Everything was veiled under the guise of a necessary reform, smile hiding determination. Each step must be small enough not to attract attention, but when combined, they will create real strength. Those close to her gradually took key positions. Some old advisors showed she had been caught off guard. Anne had successfully planted deep seeds of doubt. She knew that from this moment, nothing would be as easy as before. The meeting ended in a heavy atmosphere. As everyone left one by one, Anne remained seated for a while, her gaze fixed on the stack of documents. She felt the heavy weight of responsibility on her shoulders. This was not just a battle of wits between two powerful women. It was a war to protect the core values of the British royal family from hidden ambitions. And Anne had decided she would not stop. After the tense meeting at Windsor Castle, Princess Anne could not shake the suspicions gnawing at her mind. She returned to her private office in the palace, where soft light from the windows fell on thick stacks of documents. But just as her review was approaching answers, some internal documents mysteriously disappeared. With little time left, she decided to confront Camilla directly in the next session of the Royal Council. Could Princess Anne, with nothing but calm composure and a sharp psychological blow, force her opponent to reveal what no document could prove? On a chilly autumn afternoon at Windsor Castle, the atmosphere inside the private meeting room was particularly stifling. Soft light from the antique crystal chandeliers shone down on us, clear and carrying the weight of reputation and experience. Ladies and gentlemen, we stand before important and historic choices. The recent changes in patronage and personnel are not merely administrative adjustments. They form a deliberate pattern concentrating power into a small group. I have examined it thoroughly and see it clearly. All eyes turned to Camilla. The Queen tried to stay calm, but Anne continued to apply more pressure. If this is just ordinary work, why was there a sudden mass retrieval of documents right when the review all files? Anne's words landed like a slow-burning bomb. Camilla flinched slightly, a flash of surprise appearing in her eyes for a brief moment before she quickly masked it with many of these proposals appear to have been prepared for quite some time, but were not discussed broadly in the council. We must immediately suspend approval to reassuring smile. Anne, I understand your concerns, but we must not let unfounded suspicions slow down our progress. We are in a critical transition phase, Camilla replied, maintaining her composure, though the keen-eyed could detect an underlying defensiveness. The room's atmosphere had completely changed. There were exchanged glances and low murmurs. Camilla maintained her composed exterior, but her hand clenching slightly under the table, more cautious. The royal family does not belong to any one individual, but to tradition and responsibility to the nation. I propose forming an independent review group before any decision is approved. William, sitting nearby, nodded subtly in support. The meeting. Anne did not back down. She looked straight at Camilla, her voice calm but dramatic. It is precisely because of this transition phase that we must be even. The quiet outside contrasted sharply with the storm raging in her head. Anne sat at her desk, shedding her usual calm facade to reveal clear anxiety mixed with strong determination. She began reviewing all the files. Fund. Patronage for an animal protection organization was handed over to someone new. Some mid-level personnel are appointed to groups preparing major events. Each decision sounded entirely logical, presented with convincing professional reasons from recent months. The small, scattered changes she had once overlooked now stood out more clearly than ever. An advisory position was transferred at the royal chair. Trustworthy people. She continued collecting more documents, copying, sealing, and carefully noting each discovery. Every night, despite fatigue, Anne stayed solid evidence before bringing it to the council. "I don't want this to turn into a personal conflict." Anne fully agreed. She chose to keep the investigation confidential, sharing only with a very small circle of truly tired William. "I've examined it carefully. This is no coincidence. The proposals all point to the same group of people. We are witnessing a covert power shift, and if it's not stopped, it will become irreversible." William replied with a worried but resolute tone. "Aunt Anne, I trust your judgment, but we need more." Still helped her spot details others might miss. She continued comparing approval timelines, reviewing old and new draft versions. Anne recognized a clear pattern: changes arranged in small steps, with reasonable time intervals, each presented with convincing professional reasons. No single major decision could draw attention, but combined they formed a solid network of influence. This sophistication left Anne both admiring and worried. That evening she called William privately. Her voice infiltrate and grow like this, she asked herself, in a quiet moment, gripping the document tightly. Despite her age, her persistence and keen observation, the institution were being discussed. Princess Anne sat in her familiar position, back straight, her sharp gaze sweeping across every face. She was someone who rarely showed emotion. The long oak table where the royal family members sat with solemn expressions. This was not an ordinary meeting. It was a high-level private session where crucial decisions about the future of the nation. But today, a clear sense of unease was creeping into her heart. As the documents were presented one by one, Anne began to notice small but suspicious irrefutable logic. If you were a member of the Royal Council, would you believe Queen Camilla's explanation that all changes were merely normal operations? Or would you stand with Anne and demand an independent review? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy. Spread within the palace like a warning. It reminded everyone that in the royal family, hidden ambitions would ultimately be exposed when faced with true loyalty to the institution. Anne had won not through conspiracy, but through steadfastness and However careful she was, news of Princess Anne reviewing the files spread quickly within the palace, albeit only in whispers. Queen Camilla received the information on a quiet morning. Her face briefly paled, but she quickly regained composure. She understood that time was running out. If Anne dug deeper, related to the recent proposals right away. Keep only the minimum official documents. Do it quickly and discreetly. The aide nodded, sensing the pressure in the air. Camilla continued. Explain to everyone that this is just a standard document update procedure. Do not show any signs of panic. In the following hours, the entire plan she had meticulously built over months could collapse. Camilla acted immediately. She called her closest aide into the office, her voice low but sharp. Retrieve all draft versions, internal notes, correspondence, and emailing the already fragile balance of power in the royal family. She stood up, looking out at the dark scene beyond the palace window. The chilly autumn wind blew through, carrying a silent warning. The investigation had only just begun, but Anne was ready for what was to come. This was no longer mere suspicion. But with her steadfast nature and deep loyalty to the institution, she was ready to face it. Initial suspicions had now become a powerful driving force. Anne understood that if she did not act in time, these small changes would accumulate into an irreversible tide. Threats. Every night she stayed up later, her eyes tired but her mind increasingly sharp. Worry for the royal family's future kept her awake, but it also gave her extraordinary strength to persevere. Anne knew she was entering a dangerous game. Camilla was no easy opponent. Indirect signatures from her senior aides. Anne felt a surge of indignation in her heart. She had always valued transparency and loyalty to the institution. How could we allow these hidden changes to... The golden desk lamp illuminated her face as her sharp eyes scanned every line, every signature, every timestamp on the papers. At first, everything seemed fragmented and harmless. But the deeper she dug, the more she discovered subtle connections. Many proposals, even originating from different departments, from the royal household major charitable funds to international event organizing committees, all converged in the same direction. They all bore the clear imprint of individuals close to Queen Camilla. Some documents even had internal notes or in pieces create a distorted picture. She thought to herself, her hand gripping the edge of the document tightly. Camilla sat at the center with her usual calm and graceful demeanor. The slight smile on her lips seemed to hide her confidence. When it was her turn to speak, Camilla addressed the room in a gentle yet firm tone. Ladies and gentlemen, these are merely standard operational plans to help the monarchy adapt to the new era. We are aiming for a more modern and efficient royal family. I believe these changes will benefit everyone. The atmosphere in the room suddenly became tense. Some members nodded in agreement, but Anne remained unwavering. She waited for the right moment, then spoke clearly, her voice carrying the weight of experience and authority. If these are truly standard operational plans, why haven't we received a full report beforehand? I see that where her network remained solid strong enough to influence strategic decisions regardless of who held official power. However, deep down, Camilla also sensed the risks. She knew Princess Anne was not easily fooled. Anne herself with a mix of pride and anxiety. She did not want history to repeat itself. She wanted to remain an important voice even after William ascended the throne. This plan was her way of protecting her position and those she trusted. As time passed, the proposals were approved smoothly. No one suspected because each separate change was logical and reasonable. Camilla monitored progress through confidential reports, her confidence growing. She envisioned a future, her voice full of determination. Camilla, despite trying to control the situation, felt the growing pressure. She knew Anne was not easily fooled. In a private moment, Camilla told herself, I only wanted to protect my position. Weakness. She immediately ordered urgent preservation of all remaining files, copying and sealing important documents. Do not let anything else disappear, Anne instructed her. Why has everything become so complicated? Anxiety began to creep in, causing her sleepless nights and making her more wary of every glance around her. Anne did not stop at preserving files. She began drafting a detailed report compiling all her findings, presented with perfect professional justifications. Enhancing efficiency, expanding networks, and adapting to modern social needs. Don't do anything too obvious, Camilla reminded her aides, her gentle royal family. The new era demands wise adjustments. Let's start with small positions, the most ordinary-looking changes. The plan was implemented step by step. Camilla directed the royal household to draft proposals changing patronage for numerous important charitable organizations. She suggested mid-level personnel transfers and new advisor appointments for groups preparing state visits and major events. Each change was meticulously designed, involving only a few positions. The public is always ready to judge. Anne nodded, even though William couldn't see. Exactly. That's why I haven't gone public. We need to gather more evidence before these changes take official effect. Stay calm of responsibility clearly showed support for his aunt. He understood that Anne was not one to exaggerate. If she had spoken up, the issue would have been certainly serious. In the following days, Anne continued her silent investigation. She asked a few trusted aides to help cross-check documents without revealing the full purpose. But prepare yourself. Our royal family cannot let personal ambitions dominate. The short conversation was enough to reinforce determination for both. William, despite carrying an increasingly heavy burden, graceful, but her eyes now showed clear defensiveness. The once meticulously built plan was now under serious threat. For Anne, this was a pivotal moment. Camilla's hasty destruction of evidence not only confirmed her suspicions, but also tension, but dared not ask. William was updated by Anne through brief exchanges. Camilla tried to maintain a normal appearance in public activities, but those with keen eyes noticed the change. Her smile remained. Each piece of evidence was recorded carefully, logically, and objectively. She understood that to convince the council, she needed clarity and persuasiveness. No dramatization, just a cold presentation of facts. The atmosphere in the palace now felt stifling. Many sensed that threatened the stability of the royal family she had been bound to her entire life. She requested that all files related to patronage and personnel from the past year be transferred to her office. Under the guise of routine procedural review, thick stacks of documents were neatly arranged on her desk. Anne spent hours each day analyzing them. After the initial suspicions erupted in the closed meeting at Windsor Castle, Princess Anne did not hesitate. She returned to her office with iron determination, turning suspicion into specific and systematic action. In the following days, Anne threw herself into the investigation, allowing no ambiguity for the first time. The meticulously built plan was now facing serious exposure. Camilla understood that the